Game Week 15 in the Premier League, fresh off midweek. We got a bunch of bets for everyone. We're going to be talking the Premier League Game Week 15, but also we had the 2-hour-long World Cup draw earlier today. We're going to maybe throw out some futures in terms of the World Cup at the end of the show, but we're starting up with the Premier League. Chris, welcome to Friday. We're here. Last week we talked about Thanksgiving and smoking birds. This week we're talking about December and the World Cup, which is 7 months away. Welcome in.
Adam, thank you. It has been a short week. Obviously, we had some midweek matches that I didn't personally get to, but you worked on, obviously. And here we are. I'm on an absolute high from that World Cup draw. It was exhilarating. It was funny. It was a number of things. From an entertainment perspective, but mostly it's always about the football. And so here we are. I can't wait to break down. We had a big week. A couple of huge matchups in the Prem, and then I'm frothing to talk about a little bit of World Cup too.
Frothing. Chris is frothing. We got the table up right here, rotowire.com/soccer. We'll also be using our betting pages, so check that out with all of the betting. YouTube15 is the code to become a subscriber over at RotoWire. Arsenal 5 points ahead of Manchester City, who are on 28. Aston Villa are in third place, 27. That means we're going to talk about the first game of Game Week 15 because Arsenal play Manchester City. No, Aston Villa. Aston Villa are home. This one is at Villa Park. This is the early match on Saturday. Here are the odds. Aston Villa plus 320 to win. Arsenal minus 110. Even with a bevy of injuries for Arsenal, it looks like Gabriel is going to be out. Probably Saliba's out. Mosquera looks like he's going to be out more than a month. So basically 3 center backs. We'll see if Declan Rice is available to start. No matter, the odds have not changed. Even with all these injuries, Arsenal are fine. They're still pretty deep. They're going to Jurrien Timbers playing center back in the last game. So doesn't seem like it matters. The big question here for Aston Villa, right before their last match at Brighton, Emiliano Martinez had a back issue, was a late scratch. So if Martinez isn't in, that's going to mean Marco Bizzo gets the start for him, who would be a downgrade. So definite problem there if that's the case for Villa. But what do you think? Arsenal continue their ramp up the top of the table, or I think actually Aston Villa are in better form, actually, if you look at the past 6 or so matches.
Yeah, slightly better form. They've 100% for them in the last 6 matches, which is pretty impressive. They are, I guess not 100%, but they did lose one game there, but slightly above Arsenal, who are at 14 points in the last 6 matches. Coming off what was kind of an interesting game with Chelsea last weekend with that early red card, end up drawing the game. You considering how long they were up a man, you would have expected them to maybe take that one, but Chelsea battled back. Not something that I thought would happen. But otherwise, Villa's been hot. They've been really good. I'm really interested to see if Declan Rice is able to come back and make the starting 11. I feel like he'd be a pretty, aside from some of the other injuries you mentioned that we already know, he's a late fitness call, and probably, if not, maybe not Saka, but then him is their probably second best player of the team. So without him, I think that's a big miss. And Aston Villa, despite the slow start, has just been way better in the past probably a month or two.
They've been surprisingly good after that rough early start. They're scoring goals on few opportunities. They're kind of defying all of the XG numbers a little bit. I've done in recent seasons, I've looked at the under in these games because Aston Villa don't allow a ton of corners. Arsenal are best in the league in terms of allowing corners. That's kind of why the odds are like this. We're getting under 9.5 corners is minus 115. It's a low number, but I think it's going to be another one of those games where Arsenal are involved. It's a grind. Aston Villa, it's a little bit of a grind for them as well. They're getting healthier. Tielemans is available now. Under 2.5 goals is minus 135, so I'm not going to throw that one out there. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game here. Maybe you figure with, okay, Declan Rice, all the center backs, maybe there's going to be more goals in this game, but I don't know if I can get there with that. It's going to come down to, are Aston Villa just going to convert their 8 chances, or are Arsenal going to get a couple goals on the road kind of thing? I think it's one of these games, kind of like that Chelsea one. It could be in that 1-1 range, but minus 135 for under 2.5 goals. I don't really want to take that route.
Two things I'm thinking about. Is this minus 110 line? Is that the right way to go with Arsenal here?
I'd rather take Arsenal money line. Overall, you just think they're the better team, but that might be a line I just kind of want to wait to see what the lineups look like. See, is Declan Rice going to be there? That kind of thing. What does the Arsenal lineup look like? Does Aston Villa have Emiliano Martinez? That will probably be one of the bigger questions. So.
Yeah, because you could see some definite line movement there. And then Ollie Watkins has pretty much been like a ghost throughout the season. He's scored his second and third goal of the season. In the win over Brighton last weekend. But like, I'm curious to see if he'll actually make it back in and have some sort of impact on this game. And is he like is he going to be able to bring that form back, or what do you expect out of Watkins?
Historically, Watkins has had success against Brighton, so I don't know if I want to put too much into that Brighton match. I can't remember what the stat was, but Watkins has scored a ton of goals against Brighton, and it was something we should have saw coming, which I don't know. It's just like a matchup thing.
Yeah.
Is he going to have the same opportunities against Arsenal? Short answer, no, he's not. So I wouldn't bet on Watkins to score in this one. It feels like it'll be kind of like a random one, like the Tielemans from 20 yards out, his patented Tielemans blast from outside the box kind of a thing. But otherwise, on Saturday, Chris, should we go to the Thomas Frank Derby? Is that what we're going to next?
I think that's the big one. I wouldn't overlook this. One thing I did want to mention is these lines for the Manchester City Sunderland game. They seem, despite what Sunderland's sixth in the table right now, continue to give some of these top teams a lot of trouble. Like what they drew Arsenal. I mean, Liverpool's not a top team right now, but they drew them. They're sitting in a good spot on the table, but Manchester City is minus 390, and then Sunderland sitting at Moneyline is plus 950. If you were really, really interested in this, you don't often see a sixth place team facing a second place team with a double chance of plus 310. And I hate that I'm thinking about it, but I think Sunderland's taking points from two tough teams at their places, so just a little something to entertain.
I'd say notably Sunderland are better at the Stadium of Light. Just like a team that kind of rides off vibes, rides off the leadership of Granit Xhaka, and they're at Manchester City with this one. So I still think like the way that they play is actually going to lead to corners. The corner numbers on this one are pretty bad. Manchester City, they're over under 7.5. Manchester City minus 4.5 corners is minus 125. But raised to 9 corners. It's a big number. We've taken this a couple times, but raised to 9 corners plus 170, just on the thought that Sunderland probably going to play with 5 defenders, 3 center backs. Those guys are going to try and body up Erling Haaland as much as possible. So it's going to be on the Fodens and whoever else. And Manchester City do have a big game coming up. I think they play Real Madrid next week, I want to say.
They do, yeah.
So they have that big game coming up in Champions League. Maybe that's going to come into play with a little rotation here and there. So I do think it's one where Sunderland kind of hunkered down. They play their get on the counter kind of a thing, and then just rack up corners for Manchester City, assuming they don't score a couple goals in the first half kind of a thing. So race to 9 corners. It's not a good number at plus 170, but it's still something I like. Instead of just taking over 7.5 corners at plus 100 odds, I'll just why not just add one more and get plus 170? So let's do the race to 9 corners there.
I don't hate it. It's definitely interesting to see this line as big as it is, and that's why I wanted to call it out.
Yeah, not a bad take. I also like Bournemouth home against Chelsea. I think there's gonna be goals. Both teams to score over in that one. We got suspensions. We got injuries for Bournemouth. So I think Tyler Adams is suspended for this one, and they're already down some defensive midfielders, Lewis Cook, Ryan Christie. So look, what is their midfield going to look like? Moises Caicedo is out he's suspended for Chelsea. What is that midfield going to look like? So you have basically 2 of the best defensive midfielders, defensive ball winners in the league out in the same game against each other. That usually means things are going to get wild in the midfield. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be goals. So if one game pops off, I want to take over, maybe not over 3.5, maybe go another big Bournemouth game over 4.5. It seems like a lot of goals. But just with the absences, I think I like goals. But Thomas Frank Derby, Chris. Spurs plus 135 at home. The odds haven't changed too much. Brentford plus 200. Crazy odds. You think before the season this would have been, after the Thomas Frank, right before the season, after the Thomas Frank hiring, this would be, instead of plus 135, it'd be what? Tottenham minus 135. You're looking at Brentford over plus 300 to win, something like that. Now it's almost even odds despite Tottenham being at home. So what is the take here with this? I guess the Spurs team kind of got a lucky point at Newcastle midweek. They got a couple goals from Cristiano Romero, but an interesting game here, I think, for Thomas Frank's old club.
Yeah, neither team really that impressive, but Tottenham had a lot higher expectations. I think before the season we would have had a little bit of we definitely would have lowered our expectation for Brentford, given they had a new manager. They lost their pretty much front three, but they're kind of sitting at the same place in the table, both sitting on 19 points. So I like taking Brentford here just because it feels like Tottenham they've been kind of lucky. Those 2 goals from Cristiano Romero were pretty, one required an overhead kick. And so I don't know that I feel that strongly about Tottenham, but this could be like a good place to take a draw. But this is definitely one of the more storyline packed matchups of the weekend. I think we'll probably see goals in this, I would assume.
You think so? This one's really hard just because of the way Tottenham play, and they've been worse at home than away, which is like another thing that don't. I mean, Brentford are another team that haven't really played well away from home. I don't know. I really don't know what way I want to go with this one. I would say Tottenham plus 135. Hopefully maybe get them back on track here at home, kind of thing. Get a win against his former club. That would, if anything, that would probably be the way I'd go.
And then can we get like another anytime Thiago bet, anytime goal scorer? He's sitting at plus 125 for that bet. So I wouldn't hate that, right?
Yeah, I keep hitting the back button on my screen. So in case you're watching this live, exiting, I keep hitting the back button on the wrong screen. Yeah, whatever you said, I agree with you, Chris.
Yeah, Thiago, anytime goal scoring.
I actually don't want to take that. He scored so many penalties this season that I don't want to actually bet on him to keep scoring.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I did hit last week with the same game parlay on the Thiago goal and Moneyline. So I might just ride the high of that.
Might as well. Another game on Saturday. I like Everton Moneyline, home against Nottingham Forest. Everton just been all over the place in terms of results, but I think this is a bounce back spot for them. They've been winning, they've been losing. Nottingham Forest still not really sold on them. Before we get moving to Sunday game, Leeds double chance here, Chris. We got to shout Leeds double chance. Coming off a home win against Chelsea, if they could get points against Liverpool, that would be pretty massive. They've played better at home this season, at times outscoring teams that are better than them in the table. So let's just go double chance, which is about even odds. We are getting minus 110 odds for Leeds double chance. What do you think?
I don't hate it. I think was it a few seasons ago, 2022, when they were still in the Prem and they beat Liverpool at home. I think it broke some very long streak that they had, winning or unbeaten streak that they had at Anfield, and then Leeds came in and won that. So, this is a few years ago, but
yeah, I definitely remember that one.
There's nothing that Liverpool has done recently to be like, yeah, they can beat Leeds at home. So, what was formerly a fortress is now a farce.
They won at Liverpool. That was the win in 2022. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't hate any Leeds bets here. You just got to go based on a pretty big sample size of form going back to September. So maybe they're just not that good.
Here are some other results outside of that 2-1 Leeds result. Liverpool won at Leeds 6-1. Before that, Liverpool 6-0 home against Leeds, and then at Leeds 3-0. Those were the results surrounding the 2-1 random Leeds win at Anfield. Not that those have anything to do with this season, but just some funny results there with the Leeds win. Sunday football, a couple interesting games. I don't really have a take on this Fulham Crystal Palace one. Maybe a draw. This could be one of those draw games. I think it might be the closest odds of the season. I do like Brighton money line here home against West Ham. It is minus 180. West Ham did just take a point off Manchester United, but kind of a, I mentioned bounce back earlier, bounce back spot for Brighton after they allowed 4 against Aston Villa. But I think it's a pretty good spot for them. Kind of like a parlay piece right there. And do you have any thoughts on those before you wanted to mention the big Wolverhampton Manchester United match?
Huge Monday Night Football game between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Manchester United. I kind of like, this is not very good odds, but if you can put like Manchester United money line and like over 1.5 goals, I don't know what that would be, but just the Manchester United money line. Like Wolverhampton are just like seem like they're auto going down, so I wouldn't be afraid to get in on this. But those odds just kind of surprised me, given Wolves are like winless in their last 6, I think. So
probably in like their last 20, it feels like. But
it feels like definitely at least 6, probably more.
Well, at least 14. They don't have a win this season.
So yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I actually wrote down Wolves double chance here. Manchester United are minus 130 to win. Wolves are home for Monday Night Football. They're plus 105 double chance. So here's the take. Wolverhampton, they showed life. I've been reading the quotes from Rob Edwards. He liked the fight in the game at Aston Villa, the 1-0 loss against Aston Villa. That was a pretty tight game. Aston Villa had 0.94 XG from 6 shots. That's pretty good defense. Wolves didn't really have opportunities. Kind of worried about that Wolves attack a little bit, which didn't do anything. But then he blasted Wolves in the home loss against Nottingham Forest. Basically said his team had no life. So this is, I mentioned bounce back multiple times already. So this is like a bounce back from Rob Edwards saying his team played with no life, no heart, and were terrible in a home game against Nottingham Forest. So now they're bouncing back on a short week here for Monday Night Football. Maybe he's going to mix up some players in the starting 11. Let's just do it. Wolves double chance plus 105. 2 points on the season. No reason to bet on them. No reason to trust them. But this is bounce back Rob Edwards season.
I feel like you just like did a good argument for why you should take Manchester United. they haven't scored in 400 plus minutes.
I'm not going to mention their absences in the midfield, or I'm not going to mention any of that.
1-0 Forest, 1-0 Villa, 2-0 Palace. They lost to Chelsea, lost to Fulham. Like,
it's not good, all right?
No, it's very, very bad. So, yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm on Man United. Is like, you look at that and it's like, how can I not take a minus 130 or like spruce it up with a couple goals?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I'm big on the Rob Edwards hype train that has not come to fruition yet this season. You got any other thoughts on game week 15 here, Chris?
Hasn't gotten to the station, hasn't left the station.
There maybe never was a station, actually.
There maybe was never a Rob Edwards hype train.
Outside of this show, maybe not. Outside of this show, maybe not.
If you're across the bear.
Yeah, we got Manchester City, Newcastle, Brighton are the 3 biggest favorites. What do you think about a 3-team parlay right here on the money line for City, Newcastle, and Brighton?
Well, like I said earlier, I mentioned the Sunderland double chance odds. I don't hate them. They're just they're 3 plus 300. So
fine, that's not a good bet.
So you can take that bet all day.
All right, fine. All right, let's get into some World Cup talk. We had the draw earlier, so it would be, we'd be remiss if we just did not mention the World Cup draw at all because, we love the World Cup, and why wouldn't we mention the World Cup? So, Chris, the first things we had a nice little blog earlier. I got the groups all set up on the screen. Chris, the odds didn't change. I looked at the odds before the draw and after the draw. So I found that a little interesting just to have, no odds change. As expected, the odds for the World Cup aren't really surprising. Spain plus 450, England plus 550. These are at DraftKings. I've seen these variety of them all over. France plus 750. I think the one draw that I saw going around, the England draw, that may be the more difficult. Maybe not the group, but just like England, I think the their possible next game would be like they could get Mexico and Mexico City, and then I think it was like Brazil, and then France, and then Spain or Argentina, something like that. Some kind of crazy run. But what are your initial thoughts here on the 2026 World Cup draw?
Yeah, there was a couple. I mean, just being a U.S. fan, I was focused on that, but a couple strong groups. I feel like the French group is pretty tough. Senegal's in there; that'll be their first game. There's just like and then there's probably like 2 or 3 big groups, but I think the French team could definitely be like, I don't feel great about that. They have a playoff team, and then they have Norway. So Norway, who was great, and I don't know. I feel like that one could be tough. Croatia, England is going to be electric wherever they're playing that one in the group stage. And then I was, selfishly looking at where some of the games in Seattle are. So kind of looking at those. There's a couple Group G and Group E games in Seattle, so I'll try to get to those. But yeah, very fun. I feel like the one team, like Argentina has a pretty easy group here. I guess I'd have to look at it. I'd give Argentina. I'm not surprised those odds didn't change. Selfishly rooting for the Netherlands. They get a decent draw too, so I don't hate that. They're a little bit of a dark horse, plus 2,000.
Always Netherlands, always seemingly a dark horse. The funny thing with the playoffs happening in March is one of these groups could have Italy join their group, and one of them could have New Caledonia in their group. That's the difference in these playoff matchups from the different continents. So that I found that kind of funny. I don't think this was a thing in the past where months before the World Cup you'd still have playoffs. This is new. This is new only because of the amount of teams, right?
I think there has been, maybe not like, I definitely remember some playoffs for previous.
Well, there's playoffs, but not like 3 months beforehand, right? I mean, I feel like every draw we knew every team that was playing.
I'd have to go back and think. Yeah, I think that's probably fair for the previous World Cup, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, in terms of the United States, we talked about it beforehand, but their run looks pretty favorable. They're going to get a third place team, and then they're going to get possibly, or if the winner of, I think it was Group G, if they advanced, which would probably be Belgium, Egypt, or Iran, or New Zealand there, but it would likely be Belgium, who I wouldn't say is, one of the strongest teams, since their core is still based around De Bruyne, who he's been hurt for, I don't know, a couple months, and we'll see what his status is going to be entering the World Cup. And then I guess Big Rom. I don't even know if Big Rom's going to be in that squad, but. So a favorable run for the United States. What are the United States odds? Oh, well, we're not going to bet on United.
They already got match lines up too on DraftKings, which is fun.
Okay, that's interesting. I can't even find. Okay, USA's plus 8,000. They got the same odds as Mexico to win it. If you were to take someone, who would you take to win? As we're talking right now,
it's tough if I was going to take somebody to win, it'd be Argentina or Netherlands. I think you're getting a little bit better. Argentina's what, like plus 500? Plus 800.
You're a big Messi guy, I see here.
Current holder, and then the Netherlands, just because a little dark horse, and I like rooting for them. You got to go. I don't know what the France to the final bet is, but you got to take that probably if it's decent odds. Just these are like all historical bets, and Netherlands is a fun one.
Norway are plus 170 to reach the quarterfinal.
To reach the final is France is plus 300. I wouldn't hate that. Back to back. I mean, they've been to what? Back to back World Cup finals. 1-1, lost one. 3-peat of finals.
Plus 130 to reach the semifinal is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. Yeah, plus 130 for that feels like a pretty quarterfinal. Could be interesting. Maybe get a little USA to reach the quarterfinal bet in. These are actually fun. These are some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, we're getting USA's plus 105 against Paraguay in their opening round match. It's amazing that we've already put out odds here. I feel like I feel like we could get some value here as you look at these matchups. USA plus 105. I don't know too much about Paraguay right now, but I feel like
beat them with our B team.
All right. I feel like it's a good number at plus 105. I feel like that's a number that's going to move to like minus 130 in 3 months, and then it could be minus 150 by the time the game starts.
Yeah, there's some other group winners that you could get that would be interesting.
Belgium, Egypt. Take Egypt double chance. Egypt's plus 500 on the money line.
I'm not. That could be tough, but maybe.
Big Mo, we're not gonna.
What big favorite do you think will not make it out of the group?
I think
Like
Spain's
what
gonna
top
lose
one
to
team?
Cabo Verde. No. Let's see. Portugal, Germany.
I mean, I guess Canada would be a pot one team that you'd maybe think.
I want to consider them like what big team.
Yeah,
I mean group A and B I think are up for grabs.
Yeah, any of those teams could win it. Maybe Switzerland. I don't hate Switzerland winning
I'd
it.
say
South
like
Korea.
Brazil hasn't played well for a couple years, and like Morocco to win that group, maybe Scotland to, maybe Scott McTominay and John McGinn just like bully up. I don't know, Casemiro, Bruno Gomes or something.
Andy Robertson just going up against Rafinha.
Yeah, like I don't know. Brazil is barely qualifying in South America. Like they aren't playing well. I mean, we're 7 months away, but Morocco, I mean, we know what happened with them in Euros. Yeah, I don't know. That could be something that happens. Maybe if you look at the teams, like people will be betting on Brazil, but like Portugal is always a team. The way that they play, the way that they played is just like grind stuff out, even though their entire team is better than everyone else. Colombia, maybe they get an upset there. I don't know what that playoff group looks like.
Morocco group winners plus 450. Don't hate that.
Yeah. I guess the other team in Portugal would be Jamaica, New Caledonia, or DR Congo, which like whatever. So I guess maybe not Portugal, because I don't think they're gonna have a problem with that playoff team, or Uzbekistan. So I think Portugal is gonna be fine. Algeria,
Norway
Austria.
plus 260 on the group winner. That's solid.
Yeah, Senegal is good too, though. So
yeah, that's a tough group. It's like one where I feel like it could get mixed up pretty quickly if there's a couple draws there.
Yeah, I always think Belgium's ripe for an upset. Yeah, just because of the way that so many teams, like it's not like this isn't the World Cup from prior years. It's just a lot of like low end teams. Your Cabo Verdes of the world and Hades in here, that we just don't see, and it's kind of you get some. It's hard not to advance if you're one of the favorites, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Germany got to be kind of licking their chips here. Ecuador, though, they're a tough team. They got some ballers, definitely in the back. Maybe less. There's going to depend on the ghost of Enter Valencia probably one more time, but they got enough Hincapi.
He's still playing.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They're going to depend on him up front. Maybe not the best attack ever, but their back end is great.
He was old in the last World Cup. PSG.
I'm just saying they have a really good back line and a solid midfield.
Yeah, they got Moises Caicedo and
Hincapi. Who's the other guy from PSG?
William Pacho.
Pacho, yeah.
I thought they had. Is Stupinian on this team, or am I thinking?
I think he is. Yeah, he is. Yep.
Oh, they got Kevin too. Oh no, Kevin Rodriguez from USG, not Fulham's Kevin. But either way, you got any other thoughts here, Chris, on the World Cup? Well,
I'm so excited. This is like a great day, and we're just like one step closer. The playoffs are obviously going to be awesome. Tomorrow, the schedule comes out. If you're a little mathematician, you can kind of put together some stuff. But I feel like FIFA might just move it around on us. So I'm excited. I got tickets to one game. So we'll see what game that is. It's a Group G game. And then we'll get to the playoffs in March, and then by the end of it, by June we'll be ready to rock. So we'll see what game that is. It's a Group G game. And then we'll get to the playoffs in March. We're having some audio technical issues here.
No, I just pulled up the video on Twitter and it was messing me up. All right, guys. Game week 15. Good luck in your bets. We're going to have plenty more as we're talking World Cup. We're going to have plenty more content through the next 7 months ahead of the World Cup. But that was just a slight preview here as we take off on a Friday. But Chris, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll see everyone next week.